What up, though, y'all? I hope you and your families are doing well in these turbulent times. Speaking of turbulent times, I know y'all checked out my co-host Devin's last video on YouTube on this here channel, but in case you've been living under a rock, go ahead and check it out, because this video is not going to make any sense unless you check out that video, okay? She goes ahead and talks about how ADHD affects the brain in children, and what exactly ADHD is, some signs and symptoms of ADHD, and she gives you all the tools that you need to know in order to understand this disorder truly, as opposed to just 4 letters, right? And we have also concocted this fact sheet that you guys can check out, that goes into even more detail about what Devin talked about in her last video and the knowledge that I'm about to give in this video. So you definitely want to go ahead and get that fact sheet. All right, without further ado, I am Morgan, otherwise known as Chuckles, and I am a licensed speech language pathologist. The study of ADHD is similar to other disorders, so that's kind of my jam. You know, I love finding exactly how I can approach a child, exactly what makes them tick, exactly what's going to help them learn the best. And I even like assisting parents in how they can help at home, because the parent spends the most time with their child. And so it's only so beneficial for someone like myself to work with your child if you are not also implementing certain strategies and practices. So let's get into it without further waiting. First thing I want to recommend is that you watch Devin's video. Because if you do not watch Devin's video, I promise you, you're not going to truly understand ADHD. And so the things that I'm saying is it's going to fall on deaf ears. So you want to be a beast when you approach this. You want to be well informed when you go to your child with these new strategies that you're going to implement. So go ahead and check out her video. If you've made it to this point, that means that you understand chemically the deficits that your child is experiencing and why they are exhibiting those chemical deficits, okay? But what's the solution? So we need to find out what motivates your baby. Typically, the ADHD brain is going to be motivated by 5 things: novelty, urgency, interest, competition, and enjoyment. Now, let me go ahead and break that down for you. A synonym for novelty is newness. So, you know, the shiny object complex, when you see something new, you want it immediately. Yeah, that's what your child's brain is going through right now. So it's attracted to new things. That's why it's almost like Devin and I use the term squirrel. It's like you see something, you're like, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in that. That's what the ADHD brain is going through. And Devin went over why chemically it's doing that. Urgency, let's tackle that. That means that it's exactly how it sounds. The brain is telling the child that it must happen right now. You must engage with that new thing right now. Oh, someone walked through the door and I'm supposed to be taking a test. I must engage with that. I must focus on that. All right. Now let's go to interesting. Now things are interesting. Urgent things are interesting, right? So the brain is going to gravitate to those interesting things. 4th thing, competition. And just a sidebar, I always tell all my parents with varying disorders, and even my general education kids who just have sound disorders and articulation disorders, competition is necessary for adults, for children, because you must have a reason why you're doing what you're doing. You want to be the best at something. You want to win at something, right? And so those are natural motivators to get a child to outperform themselves, to maybe outperform a sibling, to outperform a classmate, so that in the end, the reward at the very least is bragging rights, right? You know, you always want to say, us adults always want to say we started from the bottom, right? That's a competition statement. The ADHD brain is not different in that. It wants to compete. We want to make things competitive for the ADHD brain. Finally, enjoyment. Okay, just like anybody else, once again, we want to do what we enjoy. So they don't want to be bored. The ADHD brain does not want to be bored. And so you have to find a way to make these things interesting. We want to create academic and social environments for your child to encompass these 5 motivations, right? These 5 motivations of novelty, otherwise known as newness, urgency, otherwise known as right now, interesting, competition, and enjoyment. We want to focus on those 5 factors, right? So let me stop spitting words at you and get you an example of exactly, how these 5 motivation factors work in real life. So let's say your child has a dirty room, right? And you've been asking them to clean their room. Most people are going to ask their child to clean their room on a Saturday or Sunday or one day out of the week. And so what my suggestion is that you go ahead and you break up that task. Don't put all the cleaning on the Saturday and Sunday when you're playing your gospel music and you're ready to clean. Break it up throughout the week. Okay, so every day we're going to focus on little Johnny is going to make his bed every single day. That's something that he's going to do every single day. So he doesn't have to worry about, my bed just seems super messy. And on that Saturday or Sunday, maybe he's going to take the linen off of the bed in the morning and give it to mom. If he's old enough, maybe he's going to wash it himself. He's going to dry it himself, those types of things. He split it into smaller steps throughout the week. Maybe Monday is going to be focused on, okay, I am going to pick up all my toys off the floor on this Monday. I've let it go for a week. All my toys are on the floor. My clothes are on the floor. If they're an older kid, let me do that. We're going to have strict rules about there's no food in the room. So then we don't even have to worry about that. On Tuesday, we're going to make sure that all of our dirty clothes are downstairs for mom to wash. Then on Wednesday, we're going to go ahead and we're going to sweep, or we're going to vacuum, or we're going to mop that room. On that fourth day, on Thursday, okay, now we're going to put all of our clothes away. That's going to be the task for that day. And Friday, we're going to let loose. We're not going to do anything with cleaning the room. And that's how it's a new thing every day. It's urgent. It must happen right now. Because how are you going to make it urgent? How are you going to make that ADHD brain know that it's urgent? You're going to create a reward system. Whether that's a token reward, like if you get this many check marks or good jobs, or, something that just tells them that they did it correctly. If you get that many, then this is what you get in the end. Or it's going to be a direct reward. If you do this, then you immediately get this much screen time, right? So that's how you're going to engage that ADHD brain. This allows your child to see the goal at the end of the rainbow, right? So we are all motivational. We go to work because we want to get paid, because we want to live in a house, because we want to eat. So the ADHD brain and the child brain, honestly, is no different. That child needs to know that there is a reward at the end. I know growing up, my parents and grandparents, they sometimes they paid me for getting good grades, and sometimes they didn't, because they said that's what you're supposed to do. But my opinion is, when I go to work, there's no sometimes I get paid, sometimes I don't get paid. As a child, you have certain things that are your responsibility, just like as an adult. So it helps when they know that there's a reward at the end. Just like for you, it helps to know that you're getting paid at the end so you can buy the things that you want and you can have the necessities of life. Now, if the child is doing a little bit each day, they start to do that fifth thing. They start to enjoy, right? They start to enjoy what's going on, as opposed to, and because it's competition, because they're getting a reward, they start to enjoy what's going on, as opposed to, oh, I have to do this because mom told me I have to do it. The results of competition is compounded in the brain. So the brain knows that there's a prize attached to winning. So not only do I want to win in my chores, I want to win when I do schoolwork, because there's a prize attached to that. Maybe notoriety, right? Not only do I want to win in academics and in my chores, I maybe want to win in sports, or I want to win in robotics, or, singing or theatrics. I want to get that number one spot. I want to be the first violinist, right? So the competition is very important. All right. So I've talked about motivation, and I want to say that I decided to talk about motivation because finding out what motivates anybody is how you get them to do the things that you need them to do. Most of the issue is, how do I get my child, or how do I get a person to want to do this without me telling them to do it? Because you're not going to always be around. You want your child, when they turn 18, when they get into their early 20s, to be self-sufficient. And you don't want to have to go over to their apartment and be like, hey, the dishes aren't done. Hey, you want these things to be built into who they are, knowing that this is how my brain works because my mom taught me this, or my dad taught me this. And this is how I know how to be effective and efficient as a young adult navigating this world, right? So some more things that I'm going to help you with as a parent of a child with ADHD is I'm going to recommend some different parent training programs. So first is going to be the Triple P program. It's called the Positive Parenting Program. Incredible Years Parenting Program, Parent-Child Interaction Therapy, Helping the Non-Compliant Child, New Forest Parenting Program. Those are some programs that are going to help you with some tips on how to navigate this seemingly new experience with your ADHD child, okay? You can find more information regarding the skills taught through these programs, such as how to build confidence in your child, how to communicate with your child, among other skills, consulting this fact sheet that we have created and that is in the link in our bio, okay? And that is listed in these description notes. Before I leave, I'd also like to state that the main concerns that I hear from parents is resistance to medicating their ADHD child. And I completely understand. And in some cases, I agree. I think that in some cases, medication is helpful for students and children and even adults. However, there are other things that we can do. There are things that we can do with our diet. There are things that we can do with physical activity. There are these things about finding motivation, about parenting programs, right, that build up your knowledge base so that you know how to approach your child. But these things can also be done in conjunction with medication. It just depends on your child. So I would consult a doctor on what they think, and then you know your child and you know how they are and are not on medication. So maybe if you implement some of these other things that I've mentioned, diet, motivation, physical activity, you can at least lessen what the medical dose is, right? This, again, tips and tricks are listed on the fact sheet linked in our bio. So go ahead and check that out. All right, that's all we have for you today. Please, if you have any questions, these are comments and our direct messages on Instagram, and we promise that we will interact with you back. If you're pressed or confused about your child's diagnosis of a speech disorder, ADHD, Down syndrome, autism, any of those, pretty much any disorder that you see in children, especially as it relates to speech and talking, I am well versed in, and don't be pressed. Reach out to us. We will help you out. All right. Y'all be blessed. Deuces.